It's Saturday, September 10th at noon, and I'm just heading off to the side of our horse field here. I've got a number of posts that have to be replaced. Not only have some of our posts rotten over the years, they've been out here for 18 years now, the original cedar posts that we fenced the field in with, but some have also been crushed by falling trees. So I'm just taking a few posts out to get them replaced because there's one section that's particularly bad. Yeah, so this post cracked at the ground due to age. It's also a fairly small post. And I was slow getting back to fix it, which was a good thing because about a month ago, this big pine tree fell down, came across and smashed this area of the fence again. As you can see, it ripped off the fence off this post. The post is still in the ground and intact, although it's weak. And then there's one or two other posts down there that need to be replaced, and one or two up the other side too. But for now, the first thing today is to get this one replaced. So the first order of business is to take the remaining staples out of the post. These are fencing staples, and these have to come off to release the fence. And then you can see the old fence stump here. I'll try and dig this out, but if it becomes too hard, I may just put a new post in beside it. To take the fence staples out, you use a fencing tool. This tool has multiple purposes. The long pointed end is for taking the staples out. You can also pull on them with various jaws here on this end. And these little grooves here enable you to put fencing wire in here, and you can just cut it in half using that. It also acts as a hammer on this side and a gripper with claw teeth in between the handles. So a very useful tool, and has to be in the toolbox of all farmers basically. You can see how the staple comes out there. There we go. Out. Then you want to keep track of those. So there we go, the fence staples have been taken out of that piece. Now I gotta go and try and dig this old stump out here. Now obviously when you're digging a hole right beside the fence line, you want to be able to keep the fence back out of your way. These posts are on the other side of the fence here. So what I've done here is I've put a fencing staple in this new post, attached it to the bottom of the fence, and I'm using that to hold the fence back from the area where I'm going to be digging, since I'm working solo today. So I've been digging here for about 10 minutes. I've only gotten down about 1.5 feet. We typically dig these holes at 3 to 3.5 feet deep. As you can see here, it looks like you should be able to pull that stump out of there, but you can't because of a couple reasons. Usually the pole gets wider near the end. Also, there's a definite amount of suction force that keeps the poles in there against your will. So I've dug all this out here so far. And of course, this happens to be one of the few areas on the property where we actually have clay soils. Almost everywhere else is a nice sandy soil that's easy to dig, but this one's a bit of a pig. As you can see here, these hard clay blocks coming out. I'll keep going. Of course, the deeper you get, the harder it is to bring that dirt out of here without it just falling out of the shovel. I should have some kind of a scoop, I guess, or something. It's amazing when I think back to it, how we put all these fence posts in by hand back in 2003 and 4, I think it was. over 200 fence posts and corresponding braces where we needed them. Try pulling now. I'm getting close to the 2 foot. See that? You can get it an inch or a couple inches, and then it just sticks. Finally, after about 2.5 feet of digging, I managed to get this thing out of here. It's quite a battle. And in the past, we have sometimes brought the tractor out to these places and put a chain over the loader and then yanked up the post with the chain, and that's certainly a lot easier once you get it in place. It's just a matter of bringing it all out here. And since I was only going to do 2 or 3 poles right now, I didn't think it was worth it, but maybe it would have been. I don't know. I don't mind the exercise. But so now I get this removed, and that shows you how deep the hole is. So I still got to dig that all out to about a foot width or more just to get the new post in. And I have to leave room around the post to be able to tamp the earth around it. You can't just dig a hole the size of the post. You have to dig it bigger than the post, probably 3 inches on each side. So this post is a good 6 inches across, so looking at a 12-inch hole. Get to it. It's 12:40 now, and I probably spent 20 to 25 minutes digging that one out. Well, I'm certainly not in the shape I used to be in, I don't think, 20 years ago. But I guess not many of us are. I think I've got the hole deep enough now, going down approximately 3 feet. The purpose is to give the pole a good support, but also to get below the frost line. So in the dead of winter, when the frost sets in, it's not going to be constantly pushing the post up and out of the ground. So in this area, typically 3 to 3.5 feet is recommended to get below the frost line. And here's the pile of earth. Quite a big pile. Luna woke up. She's been out here keeping me company. So now I have to detach the staple here, put the post in the ground, level it, and fill it up. So first thing I do when I put the pole in the hole is to center the pole in the hole as best as possible, so you have open space around the whole pole so you can tamp it down. Then I will put some dirt in the hole, and then this is my tamping stick here. This is what I use to tamp the earth around the pole. I just, every so many scoops, I'll do this to tamp the earth down strongly against the pole. But I'll also use this for a leveling purpose, to make sure the pole is straight in an east-west and a north-south direction. So I just let this tamping pole, which is just a 2x2 stick, I just let it dangle between my 2 fingers, and I use that to make sure the pole is vertically upright in each direction. So then I would do this too. This is once I get a bit of earth in. That's an easy way to use the tamping stick for 2 purposes and not have to bring a level out with you. And it does a pretty good job. It's pretty accurate. I'm just going to throw a few shovels of dirt in to start the process. Now it got a little out of kilter in the middle here. So right now, just throwing in some dirt to get it started. And after the first 5 or 6 scoops or so, depending what the size of your hole is. Now, so I'll vertically check it this way. That looked good. Check it this way. I can see I'm closer to the top of my stick, so I gotta move this out a bit. That's how you do it. Now I'll just tamp that. And then you can make micro adjustments for the first few tamps that you do. But after that, it gets difficult to adjust it. So you want to make sure that the pole is straight within the first few tamping sessions that you do. Now this is where a bit of a clay soil helps, because it packs better than sand. At least it packs better than dry sand. Let's check it again. Looks good that way. And looks pretty good that way. That's getting pretty solid already. It's amazing, you take all that dirt out and you would think the post would take up a lot of space, but in the end, when you come to tamp it or fill it back in again, it sometimes seems like you don't have enough earth to fill the hole, even though the post is in there now, taking up a lot of space. Strange. I think we'll be okay here though. So I'm within 3 inches of filling the hole now. Now what you want to do is just fill it up completely and then overfill it so there's a mound here, so you don't have a catchment area for rain and ice and water buildup. That'll reduce the potential for rot compared to if you left this hole here and it was constantly holding moisture more so than normal. There we go, all filled in. The last tamping I just do with my body weight by just pressing on it with my shoes. And there you go, a new post. Now what I have to do is come around to the other side and get this fence re-stapled to this post as straight as I can. So here's the old cedar post. It's pretty worn out, but that's 18 years of being in the ground out here. This was not a big post. The other thing I'm curious to find out is most of the posts we put in still had the bark on, because we had got them from a place where the bark had been left on and it was pretty hard to get off in most cases. We did peel a few of them, but they had dried like that, and it was just too difficult to take it all off for all the posts, and we had to put them in quickly. So it'll be interesting to see if this new post, which is a peeled post, a professionally peeled post, be interesting to see if they last any longer, because I think having the bark on does make them more prone to insect infestation. For example, here's one of the neighboring old posts, and you can see the bark's peeling in places now, but insects can get in there and do their dirty work. Also carpenter ants. Down here, this one's gonna need replacing too. It's broken, I can feel it. I didn't think it was, but it is. That one's a bit more complicated because it has a brace thing here, and the brace has fallen off as well. Oh, there's a lot of posts that need to be done out here, probably 40 or more. And this one's just taken me at least an hour to get it to this point. So what I did here is put the top staple in the fence. The rest of this is just hanging. And then I've tried to straighten out the fence as best as possible, so you can bend things like this where they were compressed. A lot of these top row were bent down because of the tree pressure. See one here that's bent. You can just re-bend them out to a degree. I had to push some of these over on the fence Now I'll staple this down here. I've got it at approximately the same height as the posts over there. And then I think just now I'll just temporarily tack this piece up to that old broken post, because I'm not going to tackle that braced one right now. So there's that post done. I have done quite a bit of straightening, believe it or not, of this fence. It was really bent down. I can't move some of these joiner things here right now, so I'll have to try and do that later. Well, it's about 2 o'clock and I've got that one pole done, and I trimmed back that fallen pine. I was debating whether to do another one or not because I'm really tired just after that little bit of work. And it's like 28 degrees and probably a humidex of 33 or something, so it is warm and hot and humid. But I saw this pole over here just to the north of the other one, and it was totally broken off. So I figure, now I'm hoping, it almost looks like the butt end of this that's in the ground is all rotten. But sometimes you'll start digging and it'll seem like it's rotten, and then you'll hit a hard piece down below. Because otherwise, I was going to say I may just dig off to the side so I don't have to go through that battle again where I'm trying to dig out an old post, which is a nightmare. The soils look a bit sandier here, hopefully, so I'm going to try doing this one, see how it goes. So a few inches down and I'm pulling out chunks of the old post. Now hopefully it'll be all rotten like this and the digging will be easy. If it becomes more solid, it's going to be harder. We'll see. Well, I really lucked out here. Not only had the soil reverted to a sandy substrate, but most of the post had rotted away, and I just brought up chunks of it as I dug. So that was a lot easier digging, probably only 10 minutes worth instead of half an hour worth. Now I'll just put the post in and tamp it in, and then put the staples on. There we go, post all in, much easier than the first one, which is typical when you dig in sandy soils, or you don't have to deal with an old stump that's refusing to come out. So I just whip back on the other side of the fence, staple this one on. Then I think I'm done for today. I'm beat out here. Well, there we go, second post in, and it didn't take too long. So that's good for today. I think I've had enough. Oh, it's an experience if you haven't done it. And it's actually nice. You're out here in nature. Just the sound of the wind in the trees and the birds and the crickets and the bees. So it's actually not bad once you get going. It gets a bit tiresome, but certainly when you hit the sandy soils, which as I mentioned are mostly over this whole area, it becomes a lot easier. You ready to go, Luna? You ready to go? Okay, let's go.